The Pacers blow an 18-point lead to the Denver Nuggets at home despite an incredible game in second quarter from Bennedict Mathurin. And despite some good games from other guys, what happened in this game? How did the Pacers lose it? What did Mathurin do so well? And just some general stray thoughts from an interesting game. We'll get to all that and more today on the Locked On Pacers podcast.
You are Locked On Pacers, your daily Indiana Pacers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in to another edition of the Locked On Pacers podcast, where we, of course, talk about the Indiana Pacers. As always, my name's Tony East. I cover the team for Forbes and SI, and today, wow, oh wow, do we have a lot to get to. Bennedict Mathurin, insane second quarter, one of the best quarters for a rookie in franchise history, for the Pacers in second quarter history. Brilliant game, scoring so well, bounces back brilliantly from his worst statistical game of the season on Monday, and the Pacers looked awesome until they didn't. 18-point lead in this game, the Pacers blew. They fall to the Nuggets by 3 at home. We'll talk about the entire game, some straight thoughts from this game, because there was a lot of moments that were worth highlighting. Couldn't just fit it in to one segment. So a ton to get to today. Apologies if the audio sounds a little different. I have guests, so I'm recording from Gainbridge Fieldhouse. If you recognize the room on YouTube, this is where Bally does their pregame interviews with Rick Carlisle. I asked permission before. I didn't just sneak in here, but yeah, that's where we're going today. That's how we're doing this. And let's talk about the game first before we talk about Bennedict Mathurin's huge night, because it was such an interesting game. There was a lot of the first quarter where I thought the Pacers were going to be overmatched. And then for much of the first half after that, I thought the Pacers were going to run away with this game. And then they ended up losing. So it was really a tale of two halves kind of game, right? Pacers started really strong in this game. They were competitive through a lot of the first quarter, erasing a double-digit deficit, down just 8 heading into the second quarter. Halliburton had 8 and 3 to start this game, and Isaiah Jackson really started well. He hit a between-the-legs jumper from the left baseline. That was a move I asked him after the game about. He said he's kind of been working on a little bit. Right, he had 6 points after the first quarter. They were just hanging around, right? It was not really an eventful first quarter, but it matters for the sake of the game that the Pacers hung around, because in the second quarter, they became a totally different, undefendable, really, basketball team against the Denver Nuggets. And it was all behind and riding on the back of rookie Bennedict Mathurin. He was a plus 16 in the quarter. Pacers end up smashing Denver in the second quarter. They had a huge halftime lead, 43-21, probably their most complete quarter of the season. I think I've said that a bunch. But that beats the good quarters they had against, the Heat and the Pelicans, because they defended well, too. They were awesome on both ends in that quarter, and Mathurin was the big reason why, right? He literally couldn't miss. Game-changing performance. Some stuff from Pat Boylan of the Pacers radio team and broadcast team, that he had several Pacer records in that quarter. I had the wrong tweet up, so I have to now scroll down and find it. But he had the rookie record for points in that quarter for the Pacers, and then the franchise record for second quarter points as well, I believe. Just ridiculously good performance from Mathurin in that frame, right? And so he finishes that quarter 18 second quarter points. He just could not be stopped. He was hitting them from absolutely everywhere in that frame, right? Pull-ups, drilling them, getting to the rim, a dunk from a beautiful Tyrese Halliburton pass, right? It was game-changing stuff from a rookie who continues to just do thing after thing. To me, it's surprising, because I'm usually a guy who's in the camp of rookies, not particularly good. But every player, Scott Agnes was asking these questions after the game, right? Hey, are you surprised by anything Bennedict Mathurin does? Tyrese Halliburton, one-word answer, no, right? Miles Turner, same idea. He gave a little more detail, but he said the same thing. No, it's not surprising to them anymore to see Bennedict Mathurin do stuff like this. So huge, crazy second quarter from Bennedict Mathurin. In the first half, he had 23 points on 8 of 10 shooting, 5 of 6 from three, and 2 boards, right? He was just unbelievable. You couldn't even keep up with the things he was doing in that quarter. So they enter the third. They're up big after that. They're up 14. And Jokic has 4 fouls, right? They had a good Ajax success in the second quarter, a good Turner quarter. And Jokic has 4 fouls, right? So this is a chance for the Pacers to really put their stamp on this game and put it away. So they enter the fourth right away, less than a minute in. Huge credit to Miles Turner, who just catches the ball in the mid-post, goes right at Jokic, draws a foul. So there's still 11 minutes left in the third. The Pacers are up double digits, and Jokic can't play. He's got 5 fouls. And Nate Duncan of the Dunked On podcast rightly pointed out, the Nuggets had to put Jokic in the second quarter because Mathurin was playing so well. The Nuggets bench looked terrible. And because Jokic was in before they normally put him in the second quarter, he had more fouls, right? So Bennedict Mathurin really changed the game with that. And it would have, had they won, that second quarter would have been the reason that they won. So Pacers get Jokic out of there, and then slowly looking good to start the third. Pacers get the lead to 87-69. It felt over. I thought the game was over. Right at that point, I thought, okay, this team's about to be over 500. They just got a huge second quarter from their rookie. Like, I'm thinking about what my game story is going to look like, what my questions are going to look like. And then some slow signs of struggle start to creep in for the Indiana Pacers basketball team. They start to foul a lot. The Nuggets did a great job to their credit. They got in the bonus really early in the third. They finished with 11 free throw attempts that quarter. Rick Carlisle said that was, to him, one of the bigger things that went wrong in that quarter. Miles and Isaiah Jackson get in foul trouble in that quarter, so they have to turn to Goga. And it started okay, fine-ish. He was in the game when they got up 18, but he was also in the game and ended really poorly, his run in the game did, when the Nuggets went on their huge run to start chipping into the lead, right? So the free throws go, the Nuggets start to shoot better, and all of a sudden, you look up, and Denver's down 6 points. They have the momentum. Jokic is still just waiting there on the bench, ready to check in. So yeah, they're down 6, and it kind of felt to me like they were going to win because they have Jokic. 33-25, the final score of that third quarter. And so the Pacers didn't do terrible, but they didn't do good enough in that frame. But they were still ahead. They had a chance in the fourth quarter, but this is where the tale of two halves really goes away, is once the Nuggets got the game to tied, they just could not get the lead back for long enough, right? They don't look good to start the fourth. It takes them 7.5 minutes to score 17 points. And yet they defend okay, but they couldn't get the ball in the basket enough against the Nuggets kind of changing up their scheme, a little more zone, a little more in the gaps to make it harder to kind of drive on the strong side of the court. Credit to Michael Malone and this Denver team for defending the way they did. And yet the Pacers had some chances, right? Jokic comes in with 9 minutes and 8 seconds to go. The Nuggets were down 5, but the game's tied with 112. Tied at 112, after an Andrew Nembhard 3 with still like 5 minutes to go, a little under that. So they did the Pacers did enough to have their chances late. And so when Jokic comes in, the Pacers start to have to put more attention on him. And they actually did okay at that. Turner defended Nikola Jokic, maybe the best he's defended of his entire career. Earlier in his career, Miles Turner said that he thinks Jokic is one of the toughest covers in the league. Jokic was 50% from the field this game, which still sounds really good, but for him is low. 4 rebounds, 6 assists. Yeah, he didn't play very much, but those are very low stats compared to his season average. Miles did a pretty good job on him, to Miles' credit, but the defensive attention it takes to stay on Jokic allows other guys to have a little bit more space to do their thing, or just takes Miles Turner one step higher up. Like Jokic hit a shot for the lead at one point from like 20 feet straight out. Miles Turner's right up in his face, but he's not around the rim. It changes the game having him out there. And so the Pacers slowly start to lose their lead. And they're still having chances late in this game. The Nuggets go zone, and Tyrese Haliburton says, oh, zone, we're going to have open threes. So he kicks one to the left corner for Jalen Smith. Wide open. And he missed it. And then a couple possessions later, maybe the very next possession, Jalen Smith, again, wide open 3 on the left wing. Couldn't quite get it to go. Not long after, Bennedict Mathurin, wide open corner 3. None of those threes go down. They would have been huge for the Pacers, who go 2 for 12 from deep in the fourth quarter. And yet, all of this thing's going wrong for the Pacers in the fourth quarter. Tyrese Haliburton hits a nasty step back over Nikola Jokic, but it's a Kevin Durant shot in that the toe, the smidgetest part of his toe of his sneaker was on the three-point line. It's a 2. It's 117 instead of the Pacers having the lead, and they never get the lead the rest of the way. There was some funkiness at the ending. We'll talk about that in the third segment. I promise I'm not ignoring it. But the Nuggets get it done. They get 5 more free throws from that point on. And so despite this weird ending where Haliburton just barely misses giving the Pacers the lead, the Nuggets have the ball with the shot clock on late. The Pacers foul. Rick Carlisle hates it. He gets a tech. They get 5 points in that one possession. Super weird ending. And yet the Pacers have a chance. They get a rebound. Nikola Jokic inexplicably shoots with 8 seconds left and the shot clock off. He thought he was getting fouled. He wasn't. And so the Pacers get a chance. They take it up the open floor. Miles Turner shot fakes, gets a defender to go by him, has a leaning 3 that's pretty open to win it, or to tie it, and it rims out. So the Pacers in the fourth quarter really did themselves no favors. They missed a bunch of open shots. They struggled to defend the Nuggets as a unit. They put themselves in a bad spot with losing all the momentum in the third quarter. They still had a chance. They couldn't quite do it. Rick wanted to push there, no timeout with 8 seconds to go. So what happened? How did they go from up 87-69 to losing in a quarter and a half, right? The big one was free throws. The Nuggets got to the line so many times in the second half. And the Pacers just kept fouling, right? And it's tough when they're in the bonus so soon that the stuff just kind of stacks up, But that's a big reason that they came back. That's a big thing that Rick Carlisle said was a factor in this game. 18 free throw attempts for Denver in the second half of their 26 for the whole game, and they missed none of them. 18 for 18. Impressive stuff from Denver to put all those in the basket. Jokic was huge. He was a plus 11. Him actually being able to play for a significant part of the fourth quarter was really huge. He was a plus 10 in the final frame in just over 8 minutes of play. So that, or just under 9 minutes of play, excuse me. NBA.com just put 8.00000 for his minutes for some reason, which is very confusing. But Jokic free throws were big ones, and the Pacers just missing wide open threes, right? 2 for 12 from deep in the fourth quarter were the Pacers in this game. If they hit 25% of their fourth quarter threes, and a reminder, 3 of the misses that I tracked, I'm sure there were more, I didn't look at all of them before preparing, were wide open. 25% from deep in the fourth sends this game to overtime. 33%, lower than their season average, gives them a win, right? Just some poorly timed bad shooting combined with the fouls, combined with Jokic's brilliance, mean the Pacers end up blowing a game that they had in the palm of their hand. Tough loss. One they can build on, though. They had a good performance from a lot of good young guys. Good performance from Turner, good performance from Halliburton. They just didn't quite get enough from, Buddy Hield's been really good for this team recently. He did not have the level of performance that he's been having in recent games. Jalen Smith had a really off night. Andrew Nembar, despite having some good stats, was struggling a bit defensively. They had some stuff they can build on, but against the Denver team that's really good, only losing by 3 isn't, in the general course of the whole season, a big deal. But the way it happened was painful, blowing a lead like that when you have a chance to go over 500. Let's talk about Bennedict Mathurin second quarter. The story of the game, what would have been by a mile, maybe the most impressive thing that's happened for the Pacers this season, had they held on to win a game-changing second quarter from Bennedict Mathurin. Let's talk about what he did so well and how it almost got the Pacers the win. But first, guys, let me talk to you about LinkedIn Jobs. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. It's super easy. It doesn't take very long. A few clicks and details to post your job on LinkedIn. You can put a little hashtag hiring frame that's purple and bright and stands out on your own profile to spread the word that you're hiring. They have simple tools like screening questions and make it easy for your business to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's super great. Small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. Go check them out yourself. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Thank you, as always, for making Locked On Pacers your first listen today and every single day. For your second listen, go check out, of course, Locked On Nuggets. Hear what Adam Mares and Matt Moore have to say about this game, about Jokic in the clutch in this game, the general flow of how the Nuggets and their bench that was terrible in the first half stepped up in the second half in a way that let Denver get it done. Look, the Pacers probably should have won this game. I bet they think they should have won, but Denver is really effing good. They're 8-3. Pulling that off would have been a great win, the best win of the season, at least just pure resume for the Pacers. Maybe not in execution. But I don't want to talk about the whole game. I want to talk about one player, and that's Bennedict Mathurin, who was so good in this game. He would have been the lead segment had the Pacers ended up winning because, like I said, of course, there's the OMG factor of, he did what? He had how many points? He did all this stuff that was so impressive in the second quarter that, like I said, it made Michael Malone, the head coach of the Nuggets, have to turn to Jokic to try to stop the bleeding, to try to help his team catch back up in this game. Jokic picks up 2 fouls in that span, and that's why this game almost was a Pacers' big win, because they had to bring Jokic in to stop the bleeding, and it didn't work, and he got 2 fouls, and he was in foul trouble the rest of the night. And Mathurin being on fire, unguardable in the second quarter was almost why that happened. So obviously him scoring a bajillion points is a huge factor, but in terms of game flow as well, absolutely ridiculous. One of the best scoring quarters by a Pacers rookie ever. One of the best second quarters by any Pacers player ever. Again, his stats at halftime: 23 points, 8 of 10 from the field, 5 of 6 from deep. He could not miss. 2 rebounds in 13 minutes. He just looked unguardable. Quite frankly, when he came in the second quarter, he had an okay first quarter, but when he came in the second quarter, the Pacers really needed a kick in the pants And they got it from Bennedict Mathurin, right? He's in the second quarter alone, 6 for 7 from the field, 4 out of 5 from deep for 18 points plus 16 to help the Pacers come back. When he checks out with, a couple 4.5 minutes to go after starting the frame and playing a lot at the end of the first quarter, crowd went nuts. Loudest first half moment for the Gainbridge Fieldhouse crowd all season. So obviously you can look at the 18 points and see, oh wow, he was awesome. That was great. This rookie is special. But to me, it's the details that make it so impressive. It's not just the volume of points. It's the details, right? It starts off, he's got a little bit of a mid-range game from Arizona, but not something he's displayed at the NBA level yet. I talked about that on yesterday's show with Eddie Garrison. Starts off the second quarter and says, "Shut up, Tony. Your podcast is stupid," and drills a floater, 9-footer, right over DeAndre Jordan. And then the next possession, transition, they're running up the floor, 1-on-3, and he just drills a pull-up 3 in transition. And then the next possession, a couple dribbles, drills another pull-up 3. So he's got 8 points in this really short span on some just tough effing shots, right? He just said, your defense doesn't matter. I'm scoring. I'm Bennedict Mathurin. He's allowed to heat check the rest of the quarter after a moment like that, right? And that's what made it so impressive, is it wasn't that he was just, flow of the offense, hitting the threes or doing the Bennedict Mathurin thing where he gets to the line at a high level, which is also impressive. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to belittle those things, but he was hitting some tough shots that were self-created. Only 2 made free throws in this 18-point quarter. Excuse me. That means he had 16 points, what I was trying to say, of actual made field goals in the quarter. And that wasn't even all he did, the stuff I just talked about. He hit 2 more threes before the quarter ended, including another one off the dribble. One of them was assisted, and then closes off his scoring with a sweet dunk in transition off of by the way, beautiful Tyrese Haliburton pass. Once that pass half court, one-handed into the lane from Haliburton. If you're watching on YouTube, you just saw me simulate it like a dummy in this little room that they do the interviews in. But it was fantastic. He was just absolutely dominant. So he was pretty good the rest of the night. Some good moments in the first quarter and fourth quarter, but that quarter was just, wow. Some of the best stuff I've seen from him this entire season in terms of actual process. Again, 18 points in one quarter, 23 at the half, 6 for 7 just in the second quarter alone. He just completely dominated the game. The Nuggets had no answer for him. They threw a couple guys at him. And it's wild to see this for a couple reasons. Beyond that the numbers are jarring and the shots were super impressive. So let me talk about Isaiah Jackson to tell you why this was so impressive. Because we were talking to Isaiah Jackson last week about he's been playing a lot better recently. He's getting more opportunities with Miles and in general with other guys because he's playing so well recently. And, the questions to him were like, hey, what do you feel like's igniting your better play? And Isaiah Jackson said, well, it's year 2. I kind of know what to expect in games. I'm calmer. I don't care about the mistakes as much. I don't care about my stat line. I can just play my game. I can settle in and play my game a little better. And he said, the implication there, and I asked him about this after the game, was he couldn't do that as much as a rookie. So I asked him after the game, does it just, after you say that kind of thing last week, does it blow your mind to see Bennedict Mathurin do it? He didn't. He was like, yeah, it's crazy. As a rookie, I could never do that stuff. So getting over the rookie nerves, there's none for Bennedict Mathurin. He has no nerves. He's not shaken by any moment already. He's going against the reigning 2-time MVP. He just had the worst game statistically of his career. 8 points on 8 shots. Could not get to the line against the Pelicans Monday night. And just comes out and says, screw that. It doesn't matter. Flush it. Let's go. Right? 30 points, a 23-point first half. So Ijack's super impressed, obviously, because of his own sort of, mental that he talked about from year 1 to year 2, but also because he bounced back from a worst game to the very next one, right? 1 for 6 from deep Monday, 2 for 8. No shaking confidence. Just business as usual. I'm Bennedict Mathurin. I'm super good. I can score from anywhere on the court. 31-9 in the quarter at one point because Mathurin was playing that good. So he had 7 points in the second half, right? Not like a blow you away kind of half. I thought he should have been out there more in the second half, actually. He only played about half of the minutes in the second half. And I think Carlisle was opting for defense when the Nuggets were going on their run, and I understand that. Nesmith did a good job defensively in this game. O'Shea Brissett did as well, but I think they had to turn to Bennedict Mathurin a little more. They definitely needed some offensive juice in the second half as well. So I think he should have played some more in the second half, but the second quarter, which is the focus of this segment, was definitely, I think, his best quarter of his career. And, the thing is, a lot of times I talk about how you can build off something like that. With this, it's not even necessarily building off of, because the shots were just so impressive and self-created that, it's not that you don't want him to shoot them. You encourage Bennedict Mathurin to take whatever shot he wants, but they were so difficult and trying that it's like, what it sets the foundation for, if you want to talk about building off of it, it's like he could be a guy at some point that takes clutch shots because he can shoot over anybody and create the shot himself, or take it to the rim over anybody and hit a floater. Like, that's sort of the building moment, is the showing the confidence to be a self-creator. We already kind of knew that, but from anywhere on the court, not just getting all the way to the rim and drawing those fouls, was so impressive. He looked fantastic, and definitely something the Pacers will hope he can do again going forward, because they needed it. They needed the offensive juice. The second unit did not have it tonight, but Bennedict Mathurin definitely had it tonight. One of the best games of his young career. I feel like I say that a lot, but 11 games in, he keeps having better games and better games and showing more and more what he can do. There's a lot of stuff that happened in this game. Some crazy technical fouls and foul calls at the end. Great games from guys who don't normally play well. The starting five, despite returning some wings, was different, kind of. There's a lot I want to talk about with this game that I would just call stray thoughts, and I couldn't really fit them into an inside-the-box segment. But if you want to hear about Tyrese Halliburton's criticism of his game that he had after the night was over, plus some of my own thoughts about some of the guys that played, as well as the ending of this game and the refereeing, which a lot of fans did not like. Stick around for segment 3. There's a lot to get to still on today's Locked On Pacers. Thank you, as always, for making Locked On Pacers your first listen today and every single day. For your next one, check out Locked On Sports Today. The biggest stories of the day, plus instant reactions, big game recaps, and the take of the day. Available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get podcasts, including wherever you are listening right now. So let me just dive into some stray thoughts about this game. I don't normally do something like this, but this game had a lot of funky stuff that merited it. And I want to start with talking about Tyrese Halliburton, because I was actually thinking this in the fourth quarter. I was thinking, and I put it in my notes, Hallie doesn't seem aggressive enough for a guy that is so good this season, a 20-10 type of guy who's been talking about being aggressive all the time. He had it in this game at points, but in the fourth quarter it kind of went away, where he was deferring a little more. And that's not a problem in one game. It doesn't signal anything to me, but sometimes you think stars just are going to be a little more aggressive in that situation. From 7:36 to go in the fourth quarter to about the 1:30 mark, Halliburton did not shoot the ball. And that's not weird. Like, the shots that we're creating were good. Like I said earlier, I just thought he would try to take a couple more himself. And I don't want to just say this is my own thought, because now after the game, I learned that Tyrese Halliburton thinks the same. He says after the game, he feels like he wasn't good down the stretch of this game. And, just thinking about it, I didn't think he was bad. Like, he didn't make any bad decisions. He just wasn't aggressive. But he says on the podium after this game, I didn't think I was good down the stretch. So naturally, the follow-up from me was, why? Why didn't you feel like you were good down the stretch? Obviously, when you lose, you're going to feel that way. And he said, wasn't aggressive enough. He wasn't aggressive enough. So he agreed. I think he could have looked for a shot a little more. And in the final minute and a half, he looked for it a lot, right? He hit the shot to tie the game. He took a few others. He had a layup to cut it to 3 late, right? He found it later, but he didn't have it there. And some of it was the Nuggets went to a zone. And I think the way Tyrese Halliburton drives and the way he kind of assesses the defense, zones throw him off a little bit at first. Once he adjusts and figures it out, he's got it, but the zone threw him off for sure. So he was passing well. They were still creating open threes. But I get what he was saying. He, for a 6-minute stretch of the fourth quarter, one of their best two offensive players was not aggressive enough. He said it himself, and I thought that was very interesting and something that the Pacers will need to figure out in future games is if they get gunked up by a zone late, how can they get Tyrese his shots? He figured it out late with a crazy, ridiculous, 2-footed step back over Jokic, a couple layups, right? He figured it out, but how can they ignite him a little faster with whatever unit they have out there? Straight thought number 2 is mostly just, let me talk about the end of this game, because it was weird. So Pacers are down 3 after a miss in this fourth quarter. They're on defense. They have to get a stop, right, or else this game's over. So I need to make sure I have my numbers exactly right so I don't mess this up. They're down 2 after Tyrese Halliburton misses a pull-up 3 with 30 seconds left. Jamal Murray gets the rebound with 27 seconds left, but it had already hit the rim. So the shot clock difference between the game clock and shot clock is like 4 seconds, which is technically enough that you can defend and force a miss because they have to shoot with 3 or 2 to go, but you do not have a lot of time to get your last shot up. But I understand a coach thinking, I'd rather risk the chance that there's no free throws and I have a chance to tie than foul and be down 5 and just pray that they miss. I understand trying to go for a stop. So whatever. There's 28 seconds left. The Nuggets start to bring it up. Pacers are down 2 points at this stage, 119-117. They have to get a stop or foul or something. So at first I thought they were going to defend for probably like 5-10 seconds. It's only a 2-point game. Try to get a steal, try to get the ball to a worse free throw shooter. And that's actually what they ended up doing. But Jamal Murray dribbles towards the Pacers bench, then turns around, and Bennedict Mathurin's right up on him, and the ref blows the whistle and calls a foul. I asked Mathurin after the game. He said he was just trying to defend. He was not trying to foul in that moment. And it was not because there was only 22 seconds left, now the shot clock's off. Now it's over. That's it. that was a big sinking moment that kind of changed the game. So Carlisle's obviously not happy. He didn't think it was a foul. I don't think Mathurin thought it was a foul, but I didn't ask him that specifically. But this is happening right in front of the Pacers bench. So Carlisle's venting, as he says, after the game on the stand. He kind of didn't believe it was a foul. And paraphrasing, he said that he feels like a coach should get to vent there, disagreed with the call. He got a tech. And because it's a foul, because they're in the bonus, Denver goes to the line. So that ends up going from a 2-point game to now the Nuggets are at the line for free throws. They bury all three. So now they're up 5, right? That was a big moment. They would have only been up 4. They still would have been up 2 possessions with a foul anyway. So, I don't think this stuff actually really changed the end of the game, especially given that the Pacers missed their last shot. But it was super weird. So, I didn't, the foul was so ticky-tacky that it could have been called whatever. If it was 3 minutes to go in the game, I don't think it's even part of the story of the game, but it led to a tech because Carlisle was not happy. And Buddy Hield's right there too. I thought during the game that the tech was because Buddy Hield bumped the ref, but it doesn't matter why it happened. The Pacers go from down 2 to down 5. So Halliburton immediately comes down the other end, hits a layup. Good credit to him. There's 16.6 to go now. Denver takes a timeout with 13 seconds to go. And then they tried to get a foul call. And Jokic thought he was getting fouled with 8 seconds to go and shot it from 10 feet away. Didn't go all the way to the rim to make the contact look worse. He shot it, and he missed, and the Pacers get a rebound, and they have a chance. And so now there's even more late-game stuff, right? Do you call timeout? Do you not? And I agree with Rick here. Rick does not call one. I usually think, the Nuggets had subbed in an offensive group, a good free throw shooting group, so they don't have a defensive group in. The Pacers, meanwhile, in general, are a team with offensive talents and like to push in transition. This was a transition opportunity. Halliburton pushes up. He's covered. Shots net there. He flips it over to Turner, who fakes, gets, I believe it was Jokic and another defender to go by him. He leans forward into about a 27-footer from the left wing and rims it out. So they get a decent look. Odd ending, just in general, with the call right in front of Rick and the tech kind of stacking up. Pacers lose by 3. If they were down 2, maybe, if there was no tech, I guess, maybe he would have called a timeout in that situation, but they missed. I don't think it had a crazy change of bearing to the end of this game, but weird game. The Nuggets were really annoyed with the officiating in the first half, and the Pacers were, it felt like, in the second half. I saw some of my Denver Nugget reporting friends who thought that this game was officiated weird, and I totally understand that. But I'm not a guy who likes to talk about officiating. I just wanted to talk about the weirdness at the end of the game because it was worth asking people about. 2 more random straight thoughts about 2 players to close out this show. One is O'Shea Brissett, someone I talked about a lot preseason. The guy who I thought would be in the rotation is not. Plus 21 in this game. Ridiculous impact he had. His defense was good. If you listened to yesterday's show, I noted that he has not hit a 2-point shot yet this season. That is not the case anymore. He had a nice, beautiful spin move and then the layup over a defender in this game. He did smoke another layup with his left hand, but he did finally get a 2-pointer to go. He finished with only 2 points and 3 rebounds, but his defense was fantastic in this game. He played about 12 minutes plus 21. Would not surprise me if Rick keeps turning to him. He continues to have plus impact moments. He's played now in 4 of the Pacers' last 5 games, including about 12 minutes in the win over Miami and this game tonight. And player number 2, I would like to talk about a little bit, is Andrew Nembhard, who we talked about yesterday. Eddie Garrison called him the chameleon because he can fit any group. I love that. I'm going to use that a lot. He started again, which wasn't noteworthy in the context of he's skilled and good. It's noteworthy that Aaron Nesmith was back and Andrew Nembhard still started. I thought they would go with the wing in the starting 5. Nesmith still played about half of the game, a little less than that. Nembhard played 29 minutes, and Nembhard had some struggles defensively in this game. Certainly Bones Highland and Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. are tough covers, but he finished with 8 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. He had good statistical output. I think that the fact that Nesmith was back, it could be the very next game they go back to Nesmith starting and then just forget what I'm about to say. But I think the way that Nembhard's able to kind of fit in any group and they can still play Nesmith a lot would not surprise me if the Pacers stuck with this starting 5 going forward. It might continue, It just kind of works, and Nesmith still played plenty. He also defended well. He was a +3 despite missing every single shot he took in this game. 3 assists, 3 boards for Nesmith in this game. So it would not surprise me if Nembhard continues to be a starter going forward, which who had Andrew Nembhard being in the starting 5 before the season started with a relatively healthy Pacers team. Those are my straight thoughts on this game. There were a lot because it was a funky game that featured 2 totally unique halves, a crazy rookie performance, and an 18-point comeback against the 2-time reigning MVP. Fun performance. If you haven't watched it, find a way to watch this game. It was super fun to watch a lot of the moments and to watch Jokic be Jokic for the last 9.5 minutes of this game. Tomorrow, I believe Sean Woodley's going to join us from Locked On Raptors to talk Pacers-Raptors ahead of Saturday's game. We'll, of course, do the thing where we talk about team building a little bit. Masai Ujiri, one of the better GMs in the league, how the Raptors were built and how the Pacers can, in theory, learn from that. Plus another segment, TBD, on what that kind of is. So we'll see what's going on there. Hope you guys enjoyed this game and today's show. We'll see you tomorrow. You can follow me on Twitter at TEastNBA. Still, for some reason, have a blue check. I haven't given Twitter any money yet, but we'll see how long that lasts. And this podcast at Locked On Pacers. Till then, everybody have a great day. We will see you tomorrow.